Hello everyone, welcome to Res Snapper. My name's MJ and this is Snapper Pass, a series where we look at the brand new cards coming to Marvel's and RPG. And this week is Mole Man. He's a 3/3 on reveal. Banish the top card of your deck. Add 2 rocks to your hand. Set their power to the banished card's cost. In this video, we're going to be talking about everything you can expect to think of, you could possibly think regarding the card, including we'll give you some cool deck ideas and star ratings. It's going to be a good time. So, let's talk. We'll even look in the Marvel Encyclopedia. Yes, it makes its triumphant return this episode because we've been dealing with the Fantastic Four this season. Everyone knows who the Fantastic Four are. Anyway, let's give a little bit of background information about Grand Arena. This is a new game mode that is running from the 24th of July to the 7th of August. And then presumably Mole Man will follow the same structure as the recent cards available in limited time game modes and be available a month later in seasonal series 4 snap packs because he is a series 4 card. Yeah, I forgot to say you could use the chapters below to skip to the section that you want. And yeah, let's crack into the paraphernalia type stuff, guys. This is a feature that I'll do if I remember it. I've got a lot of Marvel minifigures, like a large Marvel minifigure collection. They've never made an official Mole Man, so this is my custom Mole Man figure that I made. I must have made this 10 or 15 years ago, I think. The cape is rigid from years of being in that position, I guess. So yeah, boom. And then I do actually have the page open to Mole Man. He's actually got a very big section here. Shunned and ridiculed for his bizarre appearance, Mole Man turned his back on the surface world and sought a legendary underground kingdom. He eventually found an entrance to it on Monster Island in the Bermuda Triangle. Wow, so that location that we've got, Monster Island, that's in the Bermuda Triangle. That's cool. An underground world filled with advanced technical devices left by a race known as the Deviants. Mole Man also found a race of semi-human creatures whom he enslaved. So those are Moloids. Yeah, nasty guy, man. You don't want to mess around with that dude. Not a good guy. Okay, before we move on to the mechanics, I'm actually going to read his power again. Because if I get any comments saying, oh, you're saying he's worse than he actually is, he's amazing. Imagine having a 120. Imagine having a 20 power card for what? On reveal, banish the top card of your deck. Add 2 rocks, not rucks, to your hand. Set their power to the banished card's cost. The cost. Not the power. One final word before I move on to the mechanics is Grand Arena. I haven't spoken that much about the game mode itself. Basically, you start the game with your champion in hand and you build your deck around your champion, who is, one of them is Mole Man. And they come along with a very special skill, which is automatically added to your hand via the game mode. And yeah, it's cool. I won't actually go into what Mole Man's ability is in this video, because this is just a video about Mole Man and what he's going to be like in the rest of the game rather than specifically in Grand Arena. But he does have this absolutely sick Grand Champion variant, as all of the champions in the game mode do. If you look on snap.fan, you can see there is a portal pull for 3 of the Grand Champion variants, which is Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman and Doom, I believe. Hopefully this variant for Mole Man will be available in the game mode. I'm not actually certain just yet. Editor MJ here. This has now been confirmed that you do get the variant in the game mode. You actually buy the variant and you get the base art sort of included as per normal. So yeah, the version available in the game mode to purchase is the variant. Sick. So the mechanics for Mole Man. I think the archetypes it's going to fit into are pretty limited, to be honest, although I have listed more here than you may expect. So ramp, yes, being able to turn your expensive cards into cheap cards that cost little might be quite good. Patriot decks, because you're creating rocks, that might work. Patriot maybe, although there's important cards in Patriot that you maybe wouldn't want to turn into rocks. Hand dump decks. So these are the style of decks where you have loads of cheap cards and they generate a lot of value. Combo decks could be an interesting one because things like Sasquatch Hitmonkey, that sort of thing, doing lots of things. Bounce, maybe even bounce would actually work with him as well. You get multiple rocks, again just improving like your hitmonkey and everything like that. And shield decks, because you're adding stuff to your hand, and generally adding stuff to hand is what you want to do with like collector style cards, maybe in the Mad Thinker, another card. In fact, the next video we'll be doing is about Mad Thinker, etc, etc, and like also Victoria Hand as well. Remember, Victoria Hand will work with the rocks. Just one more time, he sets the power of the rocks to the cost of the banished cards, not the power. Okay, so you can get if you turn death into a rock, you got 2 1/8s. Okay, that's obviously fantastic.
Say that again.
You could turn a Dormammu or a Scar 1/7s. You could turn any 6 cost. Okay, those would be 1/6s. You're not turning an Infinite into a 1/20. Okay, you're adding 2 resources to your hand in exchange for 1 resource from your deck. So it's a little bit like a card draw in a way. But then you're adding cards to your hand. So you are generating resource, which is quite nice. And I see people talking about this. He thins your deck by banishing a card. Is this good? Not sure. I've seen people say that this is a brilliant element about him. But I'm really not... I really don't think... I just don't get that. I don't get that. Yeah, you are... Yes, you are kind of drawing a card, sort of, and I guess thinning your deck. But in the decks that you'd want to thin your deck, like maybe a Tribunal deck, what if you get rid of one of the pieces you needed? Because you're not like able to use the thing that you're drawing. You're banishing it. So yes, you're whittling away through your deck, but you're potentially getting rid of a combo piece. So I'm not too sure about that side of it, but if you think I've got this wrong, or like I'm underestimating how powerful that element of this card is, please do let me know in the comments, because currently I obviously don't get it. So the pros. He adds 2 cheap cards to hand, which could synergize with cards like Collector and Bishop. A couple of really good options there, like I said earlier as well, Victoria Hand, and there is more stuff as well. Mad Thinker maybe. Has a very high potential value output, banishing an 8 cost death to get 216 stats. So yeah, the actual ceiling on this guy, it is really, really big. Like 2 1/8s is crazy. In the right deck with, you know, Victoria Hand and Moonstone, that really is sort of, that does get super out of hand. So yeah, they're what, like the Victoria Hand Moonstone line, yeah, you do need to get them down sort of earlier rather than later to be able to work all of this out with the costs there. But they're like, what, they're like 1/12s? Absolutely madness. And he's unpredictable. Your opponent won't know, or will they? I don't know. I'm making this video quite far in advance of the game mode releasing, and thus this card. Yeah. So by the way, I wrote this slide like weeks ago, like a couple of weeks ago. So I should have read it through before I started filming this video, but you know, I'm not a professional. So yeah, don't actually know if your opponent will know which card you banished. Hopefully not, because you want to keep that element a secret, right? Yeah. Anyway, and cons. He has low base power. Even if you hit a relatively fine costed card, for example, like a 3 costed card, the total power output is 5 cost, 9 power. So there is an element of, yeah, you probably kind of need to build a little bit around Mole Man to get the best value out of him, which means you're playing him in a deck with a slightly higher curve, but that brings down the total reliability, like down, 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 up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, 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 down. Yeah, it brings the reliability down. So, I mean, even if you banish like an above average cost card, like a 4 cost card, okay, that's still only like, he's still only outputting like 511. Like, you can get higher power output than this. So yeah, you need to build around him a little bit. You may accidentally banish a card you were relying on. Something like that Patriot or that Victoria Hand. And the rocks themselves are easily counterable via things like Killmonger and Shadow King. But what else can counter them apart from those 2 things what we just said? Well, maybe Gorgon. Gorgon certainly has his time to shine when the meta demands it. when Thanos was huge. Obviously, Gorgon was doing a bit better. And Cosmo, of course, as well, can just stop Mole Man from generating those rocks, banishing that card. The synergies, though. Oh my god. We have got a Gossy. Calm down, Gossy. Howard the Duck. Yeah, we've got another Howard the Duck synergy here. This could actually be interesting. Now, when you consider that Howard Duck also kind of works well in combo-style decks, maybe like a Tribunal deck, or decks with like, you know, where you want to pull a big card like a high cost card via Jubilee, you're then like, okay, there's actually starting to become a few synergies here between Howard the Duck, high cost cards, and Mole Man. So that could be actually somewhat interesting. Hitmonkey's going to be nice, getting multiple triggers like Mole Man adding 2 1-cost cards to your hand. I mean, there's only, what, like Kate Bishop who does that? So another potential opportunity for Hitmonkey could be very, very nice, especially, you know, the rocks, even if they're 1-3s, good. 1-2s and 1-1s, we start to really, really delve into the bad vibes. Frigga could be an interesting one. If you do hit that massive card like a Death on turn 3, you can then on turn 4 do one of the rocks and then Frigga. So that could be quite nice. And then Sasquatch as well. Again, Mole Man is generating cheap cards. So if you can rush them out on turn 5, you can drop that cost of your Sasquatch. Let's look at a couple of deck ideas for you though. This first one is called Stinking Bishop. It's called Stinking Bishop literally just because this deck has got Bishop in, and Stinking Bishop is the name of a cheese. Yeah, and this you're sort of cheesing. You're cheesing the game. Anyway, so we have got that crucial Mole Man who wants to hit some of our higher costed cards like the Sasquatch and the Leader. Those are actually the only higher costed cards we have in the deck, because this is more about adding to hand and generating value via different ways. So reducing the cost of that Sasquatch, adding cards to your hand for the collector purposes, playing those cards out for Bishop and Hitmonkey. This really is where this deck is wanting to benefit from this particular ability, more so than just generating potentially high power cards. The rest of this deck is just filled out with the kinds of things that play well with those, especially like Mysterio playing multiple cards for the Sasquatch or the Hitmonkey. Yeah, and this is a budget deck, so this is a pretty affordable, I would say this actually looks like an alright deck, to be fair. The next deck for you is a ramp deck. I thought, if Mole Man is better when you hit higher costed cards, how about we make a deck where we have every single, like the maxed out cost. Let's max out the cost, right? So then what I was looking at is Death, that is Dormammu, and we're like, okay, we're seeing like some destroy lines here, so I thought maybe there could be some destroy elements with this. So I tried to keep the cost as high as possible, but also have us be able to do things with the deck as well. So in terms of our ramp here, we've got Luna Snow and Jennifer Kale as those options. We've got Lockjaw, which could be spicy and interesting as well. And then to actually try and get the Dormammu ticking, we've got Venom, we've got Lady Deathstrike, we've got Zola, even Destroyer in here as well. So, yeah, I don't really know how this would go, guys. Certainly could be interesting. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, one interesting thing could be you can Lockjaw, activate him on the final turn and do like a final turn Zola. And Zola still has a decent chance at still pulling one of those cards, because you've got the Scar, the Dormammu and the Death, who are all above 6. So, yeah, there's definitely some interesting lines here. And I am actually looking forward to trying this one out. Yeah, I would definitely give this one a go. But the last deck I've got for you is probably the thing I think will be best with him. I think this is Mole Mooney Mole Problems. So what I've tried to do there is do like Mole Money, Mole Problems, but I put Mooney because it's got Moonstone in this deck. Oh, bad. Anyway, so we've got a lot of cards that add multiple cards to your hand here. So we've got the Hawkeye as well as the Infinity Ultron. And of course the Mole Man. Slightly lower curve in this deck as well than you may necessarily want with the Mole Man. Especially as you don't really want to shred your Mockingbird into a rock. Although I guess it's kind of the same thing, isn't it, really? It's just a bit less fragile. And actually, you kind of do want to turn Mockingbird. You kind of want both, really, don't you? It's not the end of the world. Anyway, apart from just the normal shield stuff that you'd expect, like Moonstone and Victoria Hand, Collector, Quinjet, Classics, you got a couple of little flares in here, like that Infinity Ultron, which I'm starting to really enjoy playing in shield now, and Prodigy. Prodigy has got a number of really good targets here, so even something as simple as like a Quinjet, a Collector, a Victoria Hand, any of these things can go really big. And if you've gotten all of your nice puzzle pieces out, you can even do like a Prodigy on a Mole Man if you wanted to. Really go explosive now. Massive reminder to you, please, because it helps me out. Please like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Now, let's look at the star ratings. You might be thinking, oh, you've kind of been talking about him somewhat positively. I actually think he's a 2-star card. I think he's unreliable. Yes, you are creating potential value in the right deck, but like oftentimes you're going to be hitting a 3, like there's nothing stopping you hitting a 1 or 2 cost card, which is just not exciting. Like, yeah, sure, it triggers stuff like your your Hit Monkey and whatnot, but I'm not too sure about this. Yeah, I'm not sure it's strong enough. I'm not sure it's reliable enough. And also, like, he's got 3 power, guys. Like, he is a low power card himself, so if he doesn't work, you're just dropping tempo and losing. You're losing the game. So from a fun perspective, I have actually given him 2 because, yes, it will be fun to hit that death when that does happen, on the rare occasion that happens. But I'm just not sure it's ever going to happen all that often. And I think it will be outweighed by the times that you turn your Collector into a rock, or your Victoria Hand, or whatever it may be, and you're just like, oh god, I sort of needed that one. For the archetype, I'm not sure he's adding to anything really. I mean, yes, of course he works with the deck that we've spoken about. I'm not convinced he makes them better. So 2.5, I mean, he's an option. And then thusly, from a competitive standpoint, just 2.5 as well, guys. So ultimately, yeah, I do think he's a snap. Lols. Yeah, I do still think you should get him. Like, Grand Arena looks freaking sick. You can get Mole Man from Grand Arena. I do at least think he's an interesting card, and he can generate fun stuff. So, for all those reasons, I do actually like him. Like, kind of. Sort of. But, even aside from that, I just think you should get him. I just think you should get him. Like, engage with the game mode. It's going to be fun. You might as well get this Series 4 card. You know, it's free, basically. So, apart from your time, which can be costly in a different way, I suppose. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.
If you had told me this, I wouldn't have believed you.